Hello folks and welcome back to more Cincinnati Bengals in Madden 01. We are getting right into the draft. I'm not showing off the draft process of going through prospects and stuff, but here's our draft class, taking a look at it. As I mentioned before, I think in the last video, perhaps, drafting in this game there's no scouting. Scouting doesn't come until Madden 03, so there is no scouting. Whatever the stats say is what you're getting, so it makes drafting pretty easy. It takes all the guesswork out of drafting and just makes it pretty straightforward. So those top two picks, or round one and round two picks, are the big gets here. It's Ilko and then Chris Waller, a wide receiver. Those are our two big guys. So I wanted to get another target on the other side of Peter Warrick. That was like the big thing that I wanted as far as skill position goes. But then, of course, we needed some defensive help all over. I think our D-line was really, really rough in year one. So we got ourselves a big defensive tackle up front. The game lobbed us a pretty juicy one. So I can't remember where we picked. I think we were 7th or 8th, I think. Somewhere in the top 10, because remember, we only went 6 and 10, so we weren't that good. There were plenty of teams that were bad, but we also upgraded at kicker because for some reason in these drafts it loads it with punters and kickers that are like super high overall and they don't get drafted. So after a while I was like, you know what, screw it, I'll draft a kicker. We need a better kicker. But there's going to be a little weird roster stuff that happens with that. I guess I'll just explain it. So I thought you could draft kickers, I thought you could trade kickers. So we already have like a pretty decent kicker. I think it's Neil Rackers, the kicking goat, Neil Rackers. We have a rookie Neil Rackers on this team, and I think he's close to where this kicker we drafted is, but he's just not that good. So I'm like, I'll draft a kicker and I'll just trade away the one that we have. Well, it wouldn't let me trade, so now we have like 2 or 3 kickers on our roster, and it's hilarious. But looking throughout the rest of our draft class, we don't have anyone that's below a 70, which I'd say is solid, because a lot of these guys are either going to start or are going to be like second options, and if we don't end up keeping all of them and end up moving some of them, we can definitely get some picks back for them. So kind of a funny roundabout way to explain that, because I just use the picks to get them, so I'm going to use them to get more picks. If we don't need the rookies, then what are we drafting for, right? But that's going to become an issue with this kind of dynasty mode or franchise mode, because we really are going to start building a team here that's not going to need 6 or 7 rounds of the draft. So something crafty might need to happen with moving picks or acquiring more picks, but overall, this is how the roster is going to shape up. So, of course, Kelly Smith is going to be our starting quarterback. Corey Dillon's still our running back. Cliff Gross is going to be our fullback. Chris Waller and Peter Warrick, both 85 overall receivers, and Dugans is still our third option. Tony McGee is going to be our starting tight end. Here is a good look at our line. It's like 80s across the board. We have a very solid line, and now with our draft pick, Ilko, on the defensive line, our D-line is now looking really solid. We have 2 pretty decent defensive ends. As you can see, I'm kind of mixing them around, but Dwayne Ilko is going to be like the marquee part of our defensive line. We finally have a big defensive tackle. Try and get some pressure on the quarterback, because I really didn't see a whole lot of that last year, and that's a problem I've had playing in Maddens in general, is just getting consistent pressure to the quarterback. It always seems to be an issue for some reason, but so I was going to try and draft and eliminate that, and hopefully the sim is going to be generous to us in year 2 in regards to that. So here's our secondary. We have Newsome, our free agent from year 1, and Rondé Barber, who we signed in free agency in this year's offseason. He is going to be, those are going to be our 1 and 2 options. So we consulted free agency to completely bolster our secondary, and we went to the draft to shore up a lot of our shortcomings on the O-line and the D-line, and some other positions that weren't necessarily positions of need, but it's just good to have that depth. So we have a really stable team all around heading into year 2, and we still have over $5 million worth of cap space in case we get in a bind and need to make some quick moves. So we're going to head into year 2 of our coach, GM, president of football operations thing here. And we're going to look around here, and already we're going to see what we could potentially do in terms of trading, maybe, and just see what kind of stuff we can acquire. Because, like I said, we got plenty of dudes that we really don't need. There's plenty of guys all around. As you can see, we have quite a bit of depth at the receiver position, and we don't need all of these guys, man. Well, like, there's so many guys here, and I thought Chris Waller and Peter Warrick were going to be 1 and 2, but we already have a better receiver in Darnay Scott as our starting receiver. So, yeah, the depth I was talking about, we've got plenty of it all around. We have 284 overall left ends. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. And then all these rookies that we have who really aren't making a ton of money, so we can afford to keep them around. Now it's time to look at some of the vets that are on like the $1+ million deals for the next couple of years. Maybe they can get moved for something more. So, but as we flip through potential trade scenarios here, I'm trading within division. I know it's a cardinal sin, but you know, whatever. If we can take picks from a division rival, I think that's a smart thing to do. Regardless of whatever your superstitions are, I think that's a good thing to do. So here's a look at our schedule. We start off on the road in Tampa Bay. Then we play the Steelers before we get a bye week in week 3 this time. Jeez. And then we have a road stint against the Jags and the Steelers. Then we come home and face the Jags. On the road, it's the Ravens, then the Browns. And we have a 4 or 5 game road streak. Jeez Louise. Before we finally head home to play the Vikings. I mean, it's a bit of a jumbled schedule compared to last year, but here's where we start in Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are still a really good team around this time. They're building up for their Super Bowl run here in a couple seasons, or by the following season, I think. It could be this season, actually, because I think we're technically now in the 01-02 season. I think that's where we're at now, is the 01-02 season. So, but this is a look at our first game. We're going to sim through 1 or 2 to start the season off before we get into some gameplay in the second half of this video. I'm going to show a bit of that. So, the main goal for this year, the goal that we should have our eyes set here, is just being better than last year. And we're already off to a good start as we beat the Buccaneers by about 11 points here on the road. So we pick up a huge road victory in Tampa to kick our season off, which is nice. It's really nice to see. I think we started last year off with a win, too, over the Browns. So starting off with a win is a good precedent to set. It gets the fan interaction or interest in the right direction. And as you can see, Paul Brown Stadium is already back to being pretty full. Remember, it was pretty empty by the end of last year. But we have probably our biggest rivalry for this franchise and the Pittsburgh Steelers coming to Cincinnati for our first home game. So I'm trying to be mindful of that too, because last year I was just kind of showing random games I didn't pay any attention to. First home game, or like, you know, those like kind of big matchups. I just tried to focus on division matchups, which I will continue to do, but this is a bigger game here. It's our first home game of year 2. It's kind of important that we get off to a better start, and it looks like the Steelers didn't really do much to bolster, but we did, so we're the better team going into this game, so we better win this game to start off 2-0. So we're going to kick things off with the Steelers' first drive as Cordell Stewart drops back and he floats this one out to his man. I'm not sure which man this is, because you know, things are going to be changing here. It's not Hines Ward, it's not Plexico Burris, or I think that might have been Plexico Burris, but either way, Jerome Bettis gets the call on first down, and it's a ginormous hole that he's going to bust right on through and pick up a massive chunk. So the Steelers are already making quick work of this defense that we spent a good bit of resources in the offseason to increase. So on 2nd and 5, Cordell Stewart finds Plexico Burris again, and he gets brought down. And so our defense is really struggling to contain the Steelers already off rip. So it's going to be 1st and goal, and Cordell Stewart's going to hand this one off to Jerome Bettis, but he gets stuffed at the line. We have that play well covered. It's Takeo Spikes getting mixed up in the pile. You love to see it. I certainly love to see it. So on 2nd and goal, Cordell Stewart's going to drop back and float this one over the line, and he finds his tight end, who makes that catch in the white chalk of the back of the end zone. So that one's not going to be good. So 3rd and goal, the Steelers are trying to punch this one in. They've wasted pretty much most of the first quarter with their drive, and so they're going to go on the ground again, and Bettis gets brought down probably inches, maybe centimeters before the goal line. So the Steelers are going to have to send out their kicking unit to try and knock home this field goal to take a 3-point lead, and they managed to do just that, as Brown's kick is good. It's a chip shot, but it is good. And that will be all she wrote for the first quarter, as the Steelers' field goal is the only points to speak of here in Cincinnati. So, well, we have an opportunity. We're already cooking in Steeler territory. We're just inside the 45-yard line. It is 2nd and 10. Achilles Smith's going to drop back. He's got a clean pocket, but he's taken way too long. But he finds an open man, and that is Chris Waller, the rookie receiver, making a big impact in his first home game here in Cincinnati. A beautiful catch, an even better route. And just a ton of open space. You look at this explosion of speed, man. Really no one. There's just no one there. He was wide open. How are you going to let a guy like that get wide open? I know they don't have the film. They don't have the scouting report like we do. But, they're going to need to leave some room here for Chris Waller as he gets in for the first touchdown of the game, and we take ourselves a 7-3 lead. So the Steelers are cooking again. I believe that was Plex Squares who got that last one. I'm just a fool. Ignore me what I'm saying, but it doesn't matter because Cordell Stewart is hitting him again, and it's another first down for the Steeler offense as they are starting to move the ball a little bit easier. So from our 30-yard line, they're going to go on the ground game, and their fullback is going to pick up just about enough for that first down. It might not have been quite enough, but it was. So 1st and 10, coming out of the 2-minute warning, the Steelers are looking to answer back to our touchdown as quickly as possible. So they're going to go with a pitch play to Bettis on the outside. He's got some room on the left edge, but I believe it's Takeo Spikes tracking him down and making the tackle just before he gets the first down, but it's only about inches here. We haven't really done a good job of stopping them, so I think they'll probably get the first down here. Cordell Stewart drops back and floats this one out to the corner, and that's their fullback making the catch, and it looks like he got just inside the pylon for the touchdown. So the Steelers answer back, and it is now 10-7. So with just 30 seconds left to go on 3rd and short, Achilles Smith's going to drop back and try and make something happen here. And he finds Chris Waller again, who kind of gets gobbled up in a mess of Steelers, but manages to go upfield and gets brought down on the midfield logo. So calling a timeout, we got 20 seconds to try and do something again. And this time we find Peter Warwick in the middle of the field, and he gets brought down. And so we're going to call a timeout instead of try to run hurry up here. And we're going to send out the rookie kicker, John Green, to try and knock this one through. And he has a freaking leg, people. He's an 87 overall, and that 49-yarder was too freaking easy. So we tie this game up here, heading into the locker room at 10 apiece. So it's already a competitive game here in Cincinnati against these Steelers, even though we are the better team. Achilles Smith making an absolutely disgusting throw off the back of the leg, but Peter Warwick is able to spin around and make that catch, and now we are cooking in Steeler territory yet again. So on 3rd and 2, Achilles Smith is going to need a couple, and he gets a couple as he floats it out to Peter Warwick, who makes another spinning catch and stays in bounds. So we are cooking again. Achilles Smith dropping back, and he floats this one out to Gross, our fullback, and he falls forward for a nice pickup. So we are still moving here. It's 2nd and 10 late in the 3rd quarter. We got to answer back here. Just make something happen. Achilles Smith looks like a broken play here. I don't know what he was looking at, but he manages to get rid of it to McGee. Tony McGee, our tight end. It's the first time we're calling his name today, but he comes up with a huge reception, but now it's 3rd and goal. We need to be able to punch this one through. Haven't heard much from Corey Dillon today, and we're not going to. Achilles Smith's going to try and make this happen through the air. The pressure gets to him, and he finds Chris Waller in the back of the end zone, but he is very much out of bounds, even though he did make the catch. So send out Green again for another field goal, and he knocks this one through again. He's automatic today. He's got a 27-yarder and a 49-yarder under his belt. And that will give us a 3-point lead heading into the final frame of regulation, the 4th quarter. So the Steelers have an opportunity here at midfield. They're going to give it to Bettis, who finds some space again. We really have to shut him down. Not too disruptive, but it's definitely more active than Corey Dillon has been today, to say the least. So Cordell Stewart finds an open man, and he brings this one inside the 10-yard line. Jeez, 80 and 81 have been giving us fits. Plexico Burris has been a problem. So they're going to give it to Jerome Bettis again, who's going to get within inches of the goal line yet again, but he can't quite knock this one through. So on 2nd and goal, they're going to go with him again, and Takeo Spikes causing problems up front again, and Bettis is not going to be able to get in. So they're going to go with him again, and this time he is able to step in the orange and black grass and get a touchdown for the Steelers. So as time is ticking away. The Steelers now have a 4-point lead, but we have a whole 2 minutes to make something happen, and now we have the kickoff on what could potentially be a go-ahead score for the Bengals. So Chris Waller, the rookie receiver, finds some open space, avoiding some pressure, and there's no one in front of him, and he's got the speed. There's no one catching him. They're getting further. They're not getting closer, as Chris Waller finds himself with a return kick, 94-yard kick return in his first game at Paul Brown Stadium. And you might as well do a little touchdown dance. You've earned it, son. 2 touchdowns today, 1 through the air, 1 on the ground by his own freaking feet. As this one was just a pure battle of speed. You got 2 big linebackers and safeties trying to track him down, and they're not going to, man. We drafted that dude because he's got freaking crazy speed. So, the Steelers' lead absolutely evaporates right before their very eyes, but now that just means that they have about 2 minutes to try and retake the lead. So this is a potential game-winning drive, and it looks like it's going to end pretty quickly as Cordell Stewart finds his open man, and it is another foot race that no one is going to catch. So just like that, we trade touchdowns on 2 very massive plays, a kick return and a 70-80 yard pass by Cordell Stewart to Mr. Elusive 81, who just seems to keep causing problems for our secondary. And I think that might even be one of our free agent corners just getting absolutely burned. I can't remember what number Rondé Barber wears, but it's definitely not 20, so you're going to have to look out for him because I can't remember what number he wears. So, again, leads exchanged. I'm trying to keep track of the score because it does not show it. I believe it is now 20-24 with just a minute left to go, and Tony McGee gets a nice pickup for us close to midfield. Achilles Smith's going to drop back, and again, we're not calling Corey Dillon's name. He's not doing much for us, and there's Tony McGee again making a toe drag catch on the sideline to haul that one in. It's not a first down, but it's a beautiful catch regardless. So a high snap on second down, and Achilles Smith finds, I believe that's Corey Dillon, he tried to float the one out to, who fumbles the football and puts it on the ground. I think that might have actually been Peter Warwick. I didn't get a clear enough look, and yeah, that is Peter Warwick who made the catch and then put the football on the ground. So the Steelers trying to ice this game here on 3rd and 7, and we bring them down short, so they will not be able to ice the game with that first down, but the clock is going to continue to run, and they will bring out their kicking unit, and they are good from 52 yards. Chris Brown just barely makes it, man. That one, from another yard, he wouldn't have made it, so with just 3 seconds left, we need some heroics here or something. We're down by 7, and we find Chris freaking Waller. And he is off to the races again. No one is going to catch him, and there it is. 3rd touchdown of the game, 2nd through the air, and he also has the kick return. This might be the rookie of the freaking millennium. Name another rookie in Bengals franchise history that has made a huger impact in his first game at home. Unfreaking believable. I'm at a loss for words, and there you see we are able to tie the Steelers and send this to overtime. Heroics already, theatrics in the first game at home, and Achilles Smith takes an eternity to find an open man, and he finds Peter Warwick, who makes up for his fumble. And look at that, dude. Look at the compare. Why are you comparing Peter Warwick and Jerome Bettis? Why is that the receiver comparison? Okay, either way, I don't know where Hines Ward is. Is he injured already? Is that where he is? So we have an opportunity here. These are old overtime rules. If we just score, we can win it. And we find Chris Waller, and he's doing even more heroic things. He's already cemented his Rookie of the Year votes. He's already put them in. He's the first ballot. And all we need to do is send Green out for his 3rd field goal. So, boom, looky there. A huge production from our rookie kicker. Huge production from our rookie receiver. I mean, dude, what else can you say? This is a new Bengals, baby. A new Bengals team starting off 2-0, coming from behind on the Steelers team, trading back and forth humongous scoring plays, and we find ourselves on top in Paul Brown Stadium. If you weren't a believer before, you better be now. Look at that, 359 passing yards. Just a crazy freaking game, man. Oh my gosh, catch your breath if you don't have it, because I know I need to catch mine. I need water. I need something. Where's some hot tea? Because, oof. I can't believe we just managed to pull that off. Chris Waller, what more can you say? We're going to get that final stat line for him as Achilles Smith probably has his best game ever in the black and orange. An 82% completion percentage. He was on one today. I mean, if he can play like that every game, we're going to go freaking 16-0 every year. Peter Warwick is still the golden shot. Look at 162 yards. Is that a record for the Bengals? Is that a record? I doubt it is. I'm sure Chad Johnson probably has that record, or maybe even AJ Green or Jamar Chase now, but back then in this day, that might be a record. I'm not entirely sure that might be a record, but we get like over 200 yards from both of our rookie receivers. It's great. So we're gonna look into our bye week now. And look at the schedule ahead as we have the Jags and then Steelers again. After just a couple weeks, we're going to have to play them. So we're going to deselect those games and sim our way through and just see how things go through the first handful of weeks in the season. So coming into our bye week, we get a nice little rest, and then we come out of our bye week and go to Jacksonville and lose it by 10, but then we pick up a second victory over the Steelers by just 3 points. So after 5 weeks in the season, 4 games, we find ourselves at 3-1, a prime position to be in as we head home and welcome the Jacksonville Jaguars for the second game of the season. So they're a good team. We're going to need everyone there to support this young new Bengals team, man.